two Christian nationalists. So Usha babe, you might need to run. You might need to flee the country. And I know that I sound like a conspiracy theorist, and I don't like to be a conspiracy theorist, but if I'm right about this, one person at least owes me.
It started as nothing, a stray comment buried deep in a late-night thread, the kind of rumor that usually disappears within minutes. But this one didn't fade. It grew. It spread. And by the time the sun came up, Usha Vance woke to a storm she never asked for. Overnight, her name was suddenly everywhere, trending on TikTok, dissected on Twitter, whispered through YouTube commentary channels. All because a viral rumor linked JD Vance and Erika Kirk in the most unexpected and speculative way imaginable. The internet didn't have proof, sources, or context, just a recycled clip, a few dramatic edits, and millions of people eager to connect dots that may not even exist. Yet somehow, that was enough. Enough to turn a whisper into a headline. Enough to drag Usha into the center of a narrative she didn't create, didn't encourage, and didn't benefit from. And as screenshots, theories, and exaggerated interpretations flooded every corner of the internet, one thing became painfully clear. This wasn't about truth anymore. It was about perception. And Usha, calm, private, composed Usha, suddenly found herself facing a wave of pressure the world could feel, but only she could understand. The strangest part of this entire saga is how it all began. Not with a statement, not with evidence, not with anything concrete, but with a clip. A tiny, out-of-context, heavily edited moment that someone reposted late at night with a dramatic caption like, "Look closely, you'll see it." The original clip wasn't shocking at all. JD Vance answering a question at an event, Erika Kirk appearing briefly in a crowded background. Nothing unusual, nothing meaningful. But once the internet got hold of it, meaning didn't matter anymore. A zoom in here, a slow down frame there, a dramatic voiceover added for effect, and suddenly people started claiming they saw something. Comments poured in. Wait, what was that look? Did you notice this? This can't be a coincidence. As the clip gained traction, a second video surfaced. This time, a podcast snippet where JD mentioned people he respects, and someone cut Erika's name into the edit, even though she wasn't in the original sentence at all. But like all viral rumors, it wasn't the content that made it explode. It was the interpretation. TikTok detectives began stitching the videos, alleging patterns, energies, connections, and timing that had no foundation beyond speculation. YouTube channels posted 30-minute breakdowns titled, "The JD and Erika clip people are talking about." Twitter threads analyzed micro-expressions like they were high-level intelligence. Even casual viewers who didn't know who Erika Kirk was suddenly had opinions. The rumor didn't spread because it was believable. It spread because it was sensational. And in the algorithms world, sensational wins every time. What started as a harmless video edit transformed into a full-blown internet storyline, one that placed JD Vance and Erika Kirk at the center of an unverified narrative that grew bigger with every share, repost, and comment. And somewhere far away from the chaos, Usha Vance became the person everyone looked to next, even though she had no part in starting any of it. If there was one moment that turned a simple rumor into a full-fledged internet obsession, it was Usha Vance's silence. Normally calm, poised, and almost completely detached from online drama, Usha has always been the kind of woman who stays far from social media noise. But this time, the internet watched her like a hawk, waiting for a gesture, a quote, a reaction, anything that might hint at how she felt about the viral rumors linking JD Vance and Erika Kirk. And when she didn't post, didn't comment, didn't respond, didn't even like anything for several days, her silence became the loudest part of the story. Fans began analyzing her absence with the intensity of a crime scene investigation. TikTok creators posted videos titled, "Usha's Silence Explained," why she isn't speaking. Her energy changed, look closely. Comment sections filled with people saying she looked distant in recent photos or seemed stressed in a months-old public appearance that had nothing to do with the rumor. Lifestyle gossip accounts even zoomed into her expressions in old family pictures, claiming they saw emotional exhaustion. On Twitter, users speculated wildly, some saying Usha was simply taking a break, others insisting that quiet women often carry heavy truths. Instagram gossip pages pointed out that she didn't post her usual elegant quotes or book recommendations that week. The internet, desperate for clues, twisted her normal offline behavior into evidence. Because when people want a narrative, they'll build one out of anything. But then came the moment that sent everything into overdrive. Usha posted a completely neutral, unrelated photo, a landscape picture, peaceful and serene, with a short caption, "Taking a breath." Those 3 words were enough to ignite 48 hours of nonstop speculation. Some viewers interpreted them as calm wisdom. Others said it was a subtle message. And the most dramatic voices claimed she was holding in her emotions. The truth didn't matter. The timing did. In a world where rumor spreads faster than fact, even silence becomes a storyline. And Usha, without saying a single thing, suddenly became the emotional center of a rumor she had nothing to do with. Once Usha's silence hit the internet, the conversation didn't just grow, it split. And suddenly, the entire online world looked like 2 armies preparing for battle. Comment sections became war zones. Twitter threads turned into courtroom debates. Twitter turned into a battlefield of hot takes, emotional reactions, and dramatic theories that had nothing to do with reality, but everything to do with storytelling. On one side were the defenders, people who supported Usha fiercely, insisting she was being dragged into something she never asked for. They shared posts about loyalty, marriage, and respecting privacy. Some wrote long threads about how rumors hurt families. Others said she deserved empathy, not speculation. They reposted her older photos with captions like, "She doesn't deserve this." These supporters turned Usha into the quiet hero of the narrative, a symbol of dignity caught in a storm. But on the other side were the believers. The people who treated the rumor like a mystery waiting to be decoded. They analyzed every clip, every eyebrow raise, every coincidental moment between JD and Erika, like forensic scientists. They insisted that Usha's silence meant something. They pointed to timing, posture, and energy, like they were uncovering a hidden story. "There's no way all this is coincidence," one TikTok creator said, receiving millions of views overnight. And then came the third group, the drama enthusiasts. They didn't care what was true. They didn't care who was affected. They were just here for the chaos. They made memes, edits, dramatic voiceovers, and episode breakdowns, as if this were a Netflix scandal instead of someone's real life. They fueled the rumor not because they believed it, but because it was entertaining. And on social media, entertainment always wins. YouTube commentary channels joined in, creating long, cinematic videos with titles like, "What Usha's silence really means." "Is Erika involved? Here's my theory." JD Vance, the clip explained. Every reaction added a new layer. Every theory added a new twist. Every comment added a new spark. And the wildest thing, all 3 groups used the same exact information. Usha's silence, Erika's presence in a clip, a few misleading edits, but twisted it in 3 completely different directions. Supporters saw a woman under pressure. Believers saw a scandal unfolding. Drama lovers saw a storyline too juicy to ignore. The rumor was no longer just a rumor. It was a social media phenomenon, thriving on emotion, projection, and imagination. And at the center of it all, Usha. Watching the internet paint a story around her without saying a word. Just when things seemed like they couldn't escalate further, the internet did what it always does. It dragged Erika Kirk right back into the spotlight. Erika didn't post anything. She didn't respond. She didn't hint, react, like, or comment. But that didn't matter. In the world of online speculation, silence is an invitation, and Erika's digital quietness became the foundation for 1,000 new theories. Suddenly, her name was trending right alongside JD and Usha, not because she did something, but because the internet decided she was part of the story. Creators began resurfacing old clips of Erika from interviews, charity events, and TPUSA gatherings, dissecting them frame by frame. One slow blink became a hidden message. A polite smile became forced. A head tilt during a conversation became proof she knew something back then. It didn't matter that these clips had nothing to do with the rumor. What mattered was the interpretation. And interpretation spreads faster than truth. Then came the TikTok theory videos, stitched by creators with dramatic music and captions like, "This explains everything. I think Erika knew more. Look at her reaction here." Even harmless moments, Erika walking into a room, adjusting her hair, checking her notes, became micro-evidence in the eyes of online detectives. One creator even analyzed a 6-second clip of Erika standing next to JD months ago, calling it undeniably strange, even though nothing unusual happened. Instagram gossip pages didn't help either. They posted side-by-side photos of Erika and Usha with captions like, "Two women, one rumor." Fans flooded the comments with takes ranging from emotional support for Usha to speculation about Erika's role. The entire conversation warped into something surreal, a fictional narrative growing stronger by the day. And the craziest part? Erika didn't say a single word. Her silence, her stillness, her normal life, all of it became fuel for the rumor machine. Because once the internet decides someone looks involved, there's no escape. The rumor didn't need Erika's participation. It only needed her image, her name, her proximity. And once the internet locked onto her, she became the unintended co-star of a story that never should have included her in the first place. If Erika was pulled in by proximity, JD Vance was pulled in by force. The rumor didn't just brush past him, it wrapped itself around his name like wildfire, turning every public appearance, every speech, every interview into material for internet detectives hungry for clues. A single raised eyebrow during a Senate hearing suddenly became suspicious. A pause before answering a question was called hesitation. Even footage of him simply adjusting his tie was slowed down and analyzed like it belonged in a documentary about secret codes. It didn't matter what JD was actually talking about. The internet had already rewritten his script. TikTok creators stitched together clips of him at unrelated events, adding dramatic captions like, "Watch his eyes here. He looks stressed and no one can deny it. Something is going on behind the scenes." Even YouTube commentary channels usually focused on political analysis suddenly shifted into gossip mode, uploading videos titled, "JD Vance's reaction raises questions. Why JD seems off lately? His body language changed and here's why." One creator even claimed JD's tone during a recent speech didn't feel the same, sparking a wave of comments like, "I noticed it too," even though no one could actually pinpoint what they were noticing. That's how rumors work. Once planted, the mind starts seeing patterns that were never there. And the internet wasn't done. Old photos resurfaced. JD shaking hands with Erika at a public event, standing near her at a conference, or simply being in the same room for a charity panel. Each photo was screenshot, zoomed in, and reinterpreted like a hidden clue in a mystery novel. The fact that these events were normal, common, and entirely public did not matter. Online, context dies the moment the drama begins. Supporters of JD flooded timelines with defenses, saying he was being targeted unfairly. Critics insisted the timing is too perfect to ignore. And somewhere in the middle, thousands of spectators watched quietly, refreshing their feeds for the next twist. But the real pressure, that fell onto Usha. Because once the internet decided JD was part of the rumor, the spotlight didn't stop at him. It shifted naturally, dramatically, back to the person who never wanted to be part of this narrative at all, his wife. And the storm that started as a whisper now had three names tangled in it: Usha, Erika, and JD. None of whom had done anything except live their lives on the wrong day, at the wrong time, under the wrong spotlight. For days, the rumor spun like a hurricane around JD and Erika. But slowly, subtly, almost inevitably, the storm shifted its center. Suddenly, it wasn't the edited clips or the wild theories that people focused on anymore. It was Usha Vance herself, the woman who never chased attention, the woman who stayed grounded, private, composed, the woman who had absolutely nothing to do with the rumor, yet somehow became the emotional anchor of the entire narrative. And that shift didn't happen loudly. It happened quietly, like a tide pulling her into a story she never asked to be part of. Supporters rushed to defend her, calling her graceful, intelligent, and undeserving of online chaos. But every message of support came with an undercurrent of pity. And pity has a way of turning into pressure. People analyzed her past interviews, overinterpreted her expressions, zoomed in on where her eyes moved, and examined her tone for signs. Even months-old photos of her walking with JD resurfaced, with strangers commenting things like, "She looks tired here," or "You can tell something was wrong already." TikTok creators filmed emotional videos saying we need to protect Usha, as if they knew her personally. Others insisted Usha must be hurting, based solely on the fact that she didn't respond publicly, which she never does anyway. The internet began projecting feelings onto her, building emotional narratives around a woman who hadn't said a single word. And the irony? Her silence, her normal, everyday silence, became the loudest part of the rumor. In a world obsessed with reaction, not reacting became the biggest reaction of all. Even lifestyle bloggers, people who usually post skincare routines and matcha recipes, began using Usha in their soft, aesthetic videos about women handling pressure. She became an unintentional symbol, a template, a character in the internet's imaginary storyline. Comment sections overflowed with sympathetic messages like, "Usha deserves better. She should speak out. I hope she's okay." But the truth is, no one knew if she was upset, unaffected, or completely unaware. The pressure came not from reality, but from projection. This is what social media rumor culture does. It takes real people and turns them into characters. It takes private lives and rewrites them into public narratives. And Usha, simply by existing in the wrong place at the wrong viral moment, became the internet's chosen emotional storyline. And the wildest part? She never said a word. She didn't have to. The internet spoke for her and created a weight she never agreed to carry. As the rumor reached peak intensity, the internet didn't just react, it fractured. A single storyline split millions of people into sharply defined groups, each one convinced they understood the situation better than anyone else. The entire conversation shifted from the rumor itself to how people felt about the rumor, forming a digital divide so dramatic it felt like the climax of a TV series rather than real life. On one side were the supporters, who rallied behind Usha with almost protective energy. To them, she was the symbol of dignity and grace, unfairly pulled into a rumor she didn't deserve. They created montage edits of her speeches, shared inspirational quotes, and wrote heartfelt comments like, "She deserves peace," and "Leave her out of this." Supporters built an online shield around her, reposting old interviews where she spoke about resilience or family, framing her as a quiet hero weathering a storm. On the other side were the speculators, The people who didn't necessarily believe the rumor but found it too interesting to ignore. They dove into timelines, screenshots, interviews, photos, anything they could use to feed their theories. They weren't attacking Usha, but their analysis kept her in the center of a narrative she never consented to. These creators posted breakdowns like, "Why the rumor isn't going away. This clip raises questions. There's more here than people realize." Even if their content was framed as speculation, the tone added tension, making everything seem intentional. Then there was the drama crowd, the people who didn't pick sides at all. They were simply entertained. They made memes, parody videos, dramatic voiceovers, and fictional edits. They exaggerated the rumor into a full-blown cinematic universe. For them, Usha wasn't a person, she was a storyline. Erika wasn't real, she was a character. JD wasn't a politician, he was a plot device. This group didn't care about the truth, only the allure of the story. And finally, a quieter fourth group emerged, the skeptics. They were the ones pointing out the obvious, that everything fueling this drama was unverified and that the internet was building a narrative out of thin air. But in a sea of emotion, skepticism rarely goes viral. Their voices were overshadowed by louder, more dramatic interpretations. Share your thoughts in the comments. Every perspective adds another piece to this unfolding puzzle. And if you found this breakdown as fascinating as we did, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next chapter of this story. Because here, we don't chase drama. We trace the whispers behind it.